Catherine has a background in architecture and philosophy. She's PhD candidate in political philosophy at Erasmus University Rotterdam. Her dissertations examines how democratic infrastructures from community centers to the Rotterdam's Wijk Theatre, with which she collaborates, enable democratic coexistence. Together with Verle Alkemade, thanks God, Catherine Koekoek produced the feminist architectural podcast Response, which is really good. Listen to that.
Thank you so much. I feel it's kind of impossible to talk after Charlie's heartfelt words, and also about this question, like transforming hope into action. It's such a massive question, and also at the time, of course, you already mentioned it, that we are in the Netherlands ruled by a government that has also abused the word hope in extremely eroding and racist public administration. So I feel like that's kind of depressing and difficult to speak about. Nevertheless, I'm going to bring you away a little bit, because I think we need to sometimes go away a little bit from our daily situations to organize and then come back to change it. And I want to start, maybe you want to assist me for a second, because I want to start with this image that is here on this image of the practice place, which is the calendar of events that is happening here. And this image at the bottom, maybe we can just pass it around. That image is from 1405. It's an image by Christine de Pizan, and I thought about this image again after, maybe just pass it around, maybe we can look at it. You already talked about, Lucas, I think, about hitting this valley of despair, hitting a moment where you cannot go on as you did before. I think Christine de Pizan, in that image from 1405, was also hitting a kind of moment of rock bottom. Christine de Pizan was an author at the French court, a writer, and in 1405 she was sitting in her study reading books, as she was apt to do. And while she was reading those books, she suddenly had a realization that all of the learned men of her generation, of her time, were speaking about women as if they could not learn, as if they were, useless creatures that really had no sort of sense in them whatsoever. So Christine fell into a coma. The valley of despair, I think, was hit right there. She fell into this deep slumber when she was awoken by those three crowned ladies that you can see in the image as well. Three virtues. And these three virtues told her, Christine, don't despair, organize. I think that's basically what they told her. And they gave her some tools to do that as well. They gave her a ruler, they gave her a mixing vessel, and they gave her a mirror, because those are the tools that you need, we have now learned. And they said, Christine, you need to build your own city of ladies. You need to build a city of ladies that consists of the stories of the women who came before you. And you can see in this image, and it's also been analyzed architecturally by Penelope Haralambidou in a very nice research. And you can see in that image that off they go, they start building those blocks, they start building that city for ladies. What I take from this is not only the knowledge that this resistance practices, that they are quite old, probably as old as patriarchy itself, but also that we need certain tools for building a practice, and we also need to build an archive of tools, and we need to build an archive of stories of people who came before us and who also took matters in their own hands and who also organized. So there's that. Keep that in mind. This is a moment, I would say, of snap, as Sarah Ahmed calls it. This moment when you hit a moment of despair, when you cannot go on, and then you go on to build something else. There's another story about building another kind of city that I want to tell, and this is a story that I derive from political theorist Bonnie Honig. And she says she does a feminist reinterpretation of the Bacchae, which is a play by Euripides. And in that play, the women of the city of Thebes, they leave their herds and their homes, they leave their families, because they also hit that valley of despair and they also want to do something otherwise. So as Bonnie Honig then tells us, they leave the city and they go to a mountain elsewhere. And there's a life of milk and honey. They dance together, they nurse animal creatures, and off they go, until the king comes to spy on them, and they kill the king. It's quite a dramatic story. But in their mind, the king is not a king, but a creature who came to impose on them. So they go back to the city to change it. They go back with the king's head in their hands and they call for a feast. They say, now we have to have a different order. We need to live otherwise. Of course, because this is a story by Euripides and it doesn't end well with women in Greek times most of the time in these tragedies, they are exiled. They leave the city. So in a way, Bonnie Honig says this is a really good story about feminist refusal. And I say it's also a pretty good story about how change happens, except that the change doesn't really happen in this story, which is a problem. So these two stories have kind of stuck with me also while thinking about this practice place and thinking about how to organize, because I think there is something in that. There's something about going away, falling asleep, having a bit of a rest, maybe meeting with some kindred spirits and organizing, sharing things on your own terms, exactly like Charlie was also saying. But then there is something about going back to the city to change it and facing that resistance. And what do you need to really face that resistance? What kind of connections do you need? And how can you, when you are on that mountain or in that sort of safe space outside, build the alliances and the connections that you need so that you can sustain that work when you go back to the city, so that you're not exiled, but that you can actually change stuff. I have a few thoughts, but I also don't have any final answers, and I feel like maybe this is also a starting point for us to start thinking about that a little bit more collectively as well. I think creating connections between the inside and outside, between the position that you are in, maybe institutional, maybe non-institutional, and the position that you are not in, like outside of an order, let's bring those a little bit closer together. Let's ready that city so that it can welcome a different kind of order. Let's try and create a different narrative of change so that it becomes visible that once you start texting with your co-workers because you're angry, that is also part of political action. Let's make that visible. Let's connect our experiences and our experiences of being tired, of being of despairing. Let's connect that to that narrative of change. But how exactly we're going to do that, I feel like we need to do it together, and I'm not exactly sure. But I feel like that's where we're going to go. Maybe one more thing. Yeah, I'm super happy and excited. I'm brimming with excitement to be here tonight, because when as part of the curatorial team for this exhibition alongside Alina and also many others, I think when we started dreaming about what this space could be and what this exhibition could do, I wrote somewhere, I think maybe Alina remembers, I put it on a slideshow. We had too many slideshows. I put somewhere, maybe we can have a launch of ACAN. And I didn't know that you were already gathering together and you were already working on that. So when Jasmine came to us a couple of months ago, and all of you, I'm very happy, and I'm very happy that we're here now tonight. So thank you.
Yes, thank you for posing the question that we're actually sort of gonna extend to all of us tonight, because we also don't have any answers. We're here as a bit of a group of clueless architects on how do we affect change.